I noticed, I really saw the way that people were suffering and couldn't name it. And I also have always been, an educator in my career. And so I was working with students at the time. One of them, the mom who I was working with, she was like, "What do you think of the pandemic?" And I was like, I mean, in my personal opinion, all this time shit is made up, and we should have just been done with it. We should have just said, it's a wash of a school year. Why are we doing this? And so I started to really think about it. I really started to reflect on like, okay, what do we need in order to survive a time like this? And the thing that it was me dreaming. And I was like, oh, all this shit is fucked up and none of it matters. And I don't actually have to be in an office. And I had never at that point in my career ever had to be in an office all the time. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to start planning. I want a baby. I've always wanted to have kids. I still wasn't married. I still didn't have a partner that like I knew was going to be a good like co-parent, and even if we broke up. And so I was like, well, at least at the minimum, I'm going to start preparing. I started researching like crazy. I was watching YouTube video after YouTube, first night with baby, all this shit, because that had been my North Star my whole life. And then I was like, my mom died and now we're locked inside.
Right.
I'm having a fucking baby.
Yeah.
After all this bullshit, and I waited around, got all this fucking education, and got into debt.
Right.
For what?
Right.
I'm having a fucking baby. And I worked in foster care also for the time after my mom died. And so I watched all those people, and I was like, I literally wrote stories as a teenager about teenage pregnancy to convince myself not to get pregnant as a teenager. And these motherfuckers are grown-ass people doing this shit to children. And all I want is a baby to love on. All I want is to raise a household full of babies, black babies. And these motherfuckers are treating them like shit because they don't have enough resources. And my whole lifelong dream has been, so like I've got this whole entire like lens that's been growing, and the pandemic hit and I was like, oh, none of this shit's real. It's just money. And all of that shit is on the foundation of an ancient burial ground. And you know what that fucking shit is? All the marginalized people. And that shit is energy.
Yeah.
You could call it magic. You could call it whatever you want. It's energy. And that energy is a reason why you go through a certain place and you say, I'm not finna be there. I just learned today. I just learned today about racist histories about the area that I live in. My husband was telling me about it, and I was like, no fucking wonder I have these feelings about bad vibes. He was telling me about Kenilworth, I think. And he was like, yeah, Kenilworth used to be a sundown town. I mean, it still maybe is. And I was like, it's like right next to, not Glenview, but Winnetka. It's near Winnetka.
Okay.
So it's like right next to Winnetka. And Winnetka also used to be a sundown town, I think. And so there's like there are 19 places that used to be or are currently still sundown towns in Illinois. My husband knew about that. Oh, he told me that was it 2018? It was some kind of stupid recently. There was a KKK rally in Skokie. This is the shit that I'm like, okay, so something's weird about these places. I just be driving around and I'd be like, I don't know. I don't want to be in this spot too long. I can't go to my car that's down the street, like even at nighttime, even though I know it's fine. I live in a police neighborhood. Like this shit adds up. Anyway, I know that's one of my little spirals. I'm going to come back because the thing I wanted to say about it is all of that shit. I've been noticing that stuff for my whole entire life. And I've been really like, okay, but if there are all these problems, like there must be some ways to fix it, right? And I've always been of this mind of, oh, maybe they just don't know how to communicate with each other. Maybe it's just that the systems are not like communicating well enough, or like there's not a big enough database that puts all of the services together. That's what I used to think before when I first started high school and shit. Now I'm here and I'm like, no, they do it on purpose.